Ever wonder why some drivers get pulled over and get sent off quickly while others end up in long, slow conversations? It's not luck, it's not attitude, it's usually because they don't know what to say when the questions start rolling in. Most people talk too much, answer things they don't need to, and give the officer more to check. But there's a better way. In this video, I'll show you simple tricks that help keep a traffic stop short. These aren't aggressive or risky, they're just clear, smart ways to keep the stop on track. Once you learn them, you won't get pulled into long questioning again. Number 1. The quick finish line. When a traffic stop begins, most people don't realize one thing. The officer controls the situation, but you control the flow of the conversation. And the biggest mistake drivers make is letting the stop turn into a long, drifting chat. The officer asks a question, then another, and suddenly the stop is going in 5 different directions. That's where people get stuck. They talk too much, they explain too much, and they forget the goal. Get through the stop, stay safe, protect your rights, and get back on your way as fast as possible. That's exactly where the quick finish line becomes powerful. This line is simple. You say, "Officer, what do you need from me to finish the stop?" That one sentence changes the whole energy of the stop. It is polite, clear, and completely lawful. You're not refusing anything, you're not arguing, you're not challenging authority. You're simply guiding the officer back to the real purpose of the stop, the traffic issue. And this matters more than most people realize because the law is very clear. A traffic stop must stay connected to the reason you were pulled over, not anything else. But officers often shift into questions unrelated to the stop. Where are you going? Where are you coming from? Is this your car? These questions are designed to gather more information, check your story, or see if something feels off. Most people answer every question because they feel like they have to, and that's how a 2-minute stop turns into a 10-minute one. But when you say the quick finish line, you gently pull everything back to the one thing the stop is legally allowed to focus on. You're basically saying, without saying it, let's finish the actual reason I'm here. And the best part, officers almost always respond to it. This line signals that you are calm, clear, and focused. It tells the officer you're not going to get lost in side questions. It puts the officer back into task mode. License, registration, check the reason, finish the stop. You are reducing the extra steps, the extra talk, and the extra moments that drag the stop out. This line also protects your rights. When you keep the stop focused, you avoid giving extra information that could be misunderstood or misused. You avoid accidental self-incrimination. You avoid falling into long, open-ended questioning. And you do it in a respectful way that doesn't create tension. So the quick finish line is more than a trick, it's a tool. A simple sentence that speeds up the stop, protects you legally, and keeps everything clean, clear, and controlled. Once you use it, you'll feel the difference immediately. Number 2, the same answer trick. Most people don't realize how quickly a traffic stop can change direction just because they answered one extra question. An officer might start with something simple. Do you know why I stopped you? And before you even understand what's happening, you're answering things about where you're going, who you're with, what you were doing, and why you're out. None of this is required. None of this speeds up the stop. In fact, the more you talk, the more the officer digs. The stop becomes longer, slower, and more stressful. That's exactly why the same answer trick is so powerful. It keeps you safe, keeps the stop short, and keeps you from saying things that work against you. This trick is simple. No matter what extra questions they ask, you calmly repeat the same line. I don't want to answer questions. You don't argue. You don't explain why. You don't change your tone. You just repeat the same sentence. This creates a loop, a clean, calm loop, and officers end loops faster than anything else. Why? Because they know they're not getting extra information. They know you're not giving them anything to dig into. And the law supports you. You are allowed to stay silent on anything that isn't required for the traffic stop. When drivers try to come up with excuses or long explanations, that's when problems start. One small detail can open a whole new line of questioning. One nervous answer can sound suspicious even when you did nothing wrong. But this trick removes all of that. It stops confusion. It stops guessing. It stops the officer from wandering into topics that can stretch the stop. And the key is calm repetition. Officers expect people to give in after one refusal, but when you repeat the same line in the same tone, they realize you're not being difficult, you're just firm. This shows confidence, clarity, and control. It tells the officer that the conversation cannot grow wider. They must stay on the legal reason for the stop. This trick also protects your rights more than you think. You avoid self-incrimination. You avoid contradictions. You avoid the pressure of answering questions that have nothing to do with a simple traffic issue. Every time you repeat your line, you are keeping the stop clean and clear. And the best part? It works fast. Officers move on because they know the questioning won't go anywhere. They return to the traffic violation, handle their task, and end the stop sooner. The same answer trick is not about being rude, it's about being smart. It uses the law, your rights, and simple communication to keep the stop short, safe, and in your control. Once you master this, you will never fear random questions again.
Number 3, the stay on topic trick. Traffic stops often become long because the conversation drifts far away from the real reason you were pulled over. The officer might stop you for speeding, but suddenly they're asking where you're coming from, where you're going, who owns the car, what you were doing earlier, and even random questions just to see how you respond. Most drivers answer everything because they feel like they must. But here's the truth. The law says the stop must stay connected to the traffic violation, not your personal life. That's where the stay on topic trick becomes extremely important. The trick is very simple. When the officer starts asking unrelated questions, you politely bring everything back to the main point by saying, "Is there anything else you need for the traffic issue?" This one line quietly resets the entire stop. It tells the officer, without any argument, that you want the stop to stay about the actual reason you were pulled over, not side topics. This line is polite, it's calm, it's lawful, but it is also very powerful because it forces the officer to think, do I have a valid reason to keep this going, or should I wrap it up? Most people don't know this, but officers often use simple small talk questions to look for inconsistencies or nervous reactions. They're checking if your story sounds right or if something feels off. Even if you've done nothing wrong, answering these questions can accidentally create confusion. Maybe you sound unsure, maybe you explain too much, maybe you say something that leads to even more questions, and suddenly the stop becomes longer and more stressful. But the stay on topic trick stops all of that. When you use it, you're gently guiding the officer back to the only thing that legally matters, the traffic issue. It protects you because it limits the conversation. It keeps the officer focused, it keeps the stop clean, and it prevents your words from being used to create new reasons to drag the stop out. Another benefit is that this line shows confidence and clarity. Officers quickly recognize when a driver understands the boundaries of a traffic stop. You're not refusing anything, you're not hiding anything. You're simply asking a fair question that aligns with the law. This makes the stop smoother, shorter, and more predictable. Once you use this trick, you'll notice the officer usually returns to the practical steps, checking your license, checking your registration, and finishing the stop. The random questions disappear because they realize you won't follow those detours. The stay on topic trick isn't about being difficult, it's about keeping the stop focused, protecting yourself with simple communication, and avoiding the long conversations that create unnecessary problems.
Number 4, the why is it taking long trick. One of the most frustrating parts of a traffic stop is the waiting. You hand over your license, your registration, your insurance, and then nothing happens. Minutes pass. You're just sitting there wondering what's going on. Is the officer still checking the documents? Are they calling for backup? Are they looking for something else? Most drivers stay silent because they think they have no choice. But here's the truth. The law does not allow an officer to drag a traffic stop without a valid reason. And that's exactly why the "why is it taking long" trick is so effective. The trick is simple. When the stop feels slow or dragged out, you calmly ask, "Officer, what is causing the delay?" This line might sound small, but it's actually one of the strongest tools you can use. You're not challenging the officer, you're not arguing, you're not refusing anything. You're simply asking for clarity, which you're fully allowed to do. And this question puts gentle pressure on the officer to explain what they're doing and why the stop is still going. Most people don't know this, but every minute of a traffic stop must be legally justified. The officer can check your license, run your plates, confirm your information, and handle the reason for the stop, but they can't stretch the stop just to look for something else or to see what happens. When you ask what's causing the delay, you make the officer think carefully about whether the stop has drifted off track. And here's the interesting part. Officers almost never want to explain a long delay unless they have a good reason. If they don't have one, your question quietly reminds them to wrap things up.
This is one of the fastest ways to get the stop moving again without sounding rude or aggressive. This trick also gives you more control. When you stay silent, the officer may assume you're fine waiting. When you ask this clear, respectful question, you show that you're aware of your rights and paying attention to the length of the stop. This can completely change the officer's approach. They become more focused, more organized, and more careful about making the stop last longer than necessary. The best part is how safe and polite this line is. It doesn't create conflict, it doesn't sound defensive, it simply demands clarity, something every driver deserves. And when officers know you understand your rights, they usually end the stop faster because they know the delay must be justified. The "why is it taking long" trick saves time, reduces stress, and keeps the stop from turning into something bigger.
Number 5. The walk away clean trick. There is one moment in a traffic stop that most drivers don't understand: the ending. The stop doesn't end when the officer stops talking. The stop ends when the officer clearly tells you that you are good to go, free to leave, or to hand your documents back. That moment matters more than everything else, because once the officer gives your license back, the legal stop is basically over. But here's the problem. Many drivers stay, talk more, answer extra questions, or react emotionally. And that's how the officer pulls them right back into a second round of the stop. The stop was finished, but the driver accidentally restarted it. That's why the walk-away clean trick is so powerful and so important. The trick is simple. The second the officer returns your documents and says you're free to go, you say only one line: "Thank you, I'll leave now." Then you leave immediately. No extra talk, no extra questions, no small talk, no explanations, no "one more thing, officer," nothing. This might sound too simple, but this trick works because the end of a traffic stop is the most vulnerable moment for a driver. You feel relieved, you feel safe, and you start talking freely. That's when people accidentally reveal something unnecessary. They answer a question the officer didn't even need to ask. They make a random comment about being in a hurry. They explain where they were going, and suddenly the officer uses that new information to continue questioning, even though the stop should have already ended. When you use the walk-away clean trick, you shut down this entire risk. You create a clean exit. The stop ends cleanly, legally, and quickly. There is no opening for more questions, no space for misunderstandings, and no chance for the conversation to drift into new topics. You are not being rude. You are simply ending the interaction the moment the law says it is finished. This trick also shows confidence and clarity. Officers immediately recognize that you understand the end of a stop. You're not confused, you're not nervous, you're not waiting around hoping they say more. You acknowledge the ending, you speak politely, and you leave. It's simple, powerful, and incredibly effective. Another reason this trick works: once the officer says you're free to go, they cannot legally keep you unless they have a new, valid reason. When you walk away clean, you avoid giving them anything that could accidentally create that reason. The walk-away clean trick protects your rights, keeps the stop short, and stops any chance of a second round of questioning. Once you learn this, you will never stay longer than you need to at a traffic stop again.